Hey guys, welcome to the show. My name is Daniel Aranzamendi and you're listening to the Aranzamendi podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the aviation crisis under Donald Trump, a pattern of deregulation and disaster. Well, we're diving into a critical issue affecting our nation's safety and policies. So let's get started. I came across this news article last night and, was sad, to see this. Fortunately, there's no fatalities, but let me read to you. A Delta Airlines jet flips upside down on a Toronto runway and all 80 aboard survive. This is literally, nothing short of a miracle, right? Look at the picture here. This is so scary, guys. This is one of the things that makes me question, do I really want to fly and go somewhere else? But obviously I'm kidding, but it's scary. Look at the plane upside down. It was snowing, very cold. Very risky. They say that the winds were very strong, gusty. Actually, let's read a little bit so you can get some of the details right away. A regional passenger jet operated by Delta Airlines flipped upside down while landing at a Toronto Pearson International Airport on Monday afternoon, injuring at least 18 people, sadly, right? Authorities said. Toronto airport authorities confirmed that all the crew members and 76 passengers survived. A statement posted by Delta said 18 passengers were injured and are being treated at local hospitals. The extent of their injuries remain unclear. At least two passengers, this is sad, at least two passengers were critically injured, but were expected to survive. So, just good news after all. Monday's crash in Toronto is the latest in a spate of air accidents in recent weeks across North America. On January 29th, a commercial jetliner and U.S. military helicopter collided near Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C., killing 67. 2 days later, in Philadelphia, a medical transportation plane crashed soon after takeoff, killing 6 on board. And on February 6th, a small passenger plane crash in Alaska claimed the lives of the 10 people on board. All I want to point out here is that even though this is the most recent one, this happened in Toronto, there's a possibility that something may be related to the USA, to our policies, to the maintenance back here, to the airline. It can be linked to so many things. They just started the investigation and fortunately, they are not irresponsible. So they didn't start pointing fingers. They could start all the blame game, but they're not playing that. They're actually being the adults in the room. And they are doing the right thing. Hey, let's investigate, and all the information we get is actually going to become widely. It says in the article, it's going to become widely available right away, as soon as they have it. And even the news article states that the U.S. was sending some people to collaborate in the investigation. Obviously, there's Americans. This is an American Airlines. The flight originated here in the USA. So the fact that it had an accident in Canada obviously doesn't mean that the USA is not going to be involved, right? But I want you to look at the broader picture here and the pattern, like I said, of deregulation and disaster. Why I want you to think about the broader picture here. Trump's executive order on DEI in aviation just kind of it shook the whole industry, right? In terms of the blame that he immediately was pointing fingers as soon as the first plane crashed after he signed an executive order. As we're gonna, get to. In response to these DEI claims and combating Biden and claiming when they were trying to hire Pete Hegseth for the military, for the Defense Department, stating that, these Biden practices of hiring people had made us unsafe. The military is not safe. The FAA is not safe. Nothing is safe anymore because they're hiring based on DEI and not on meritocracy. So in response to that claim and to that bullshit policy, President Trump signed an executive order on January 22nd, 2025, terminating diversity. Just pay attention to the date. On January 22nd, 2025, he terminated diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, initiatives within the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA. The order mandates a shift back to merit-based hiring practices. End quotes, right? Arguing that DEI policies compromise safety and efficiency. However, there is a ton of hypocrisy here because during his first term, the Trump administration also hired under anti-discrimination and DEI policies. The FAA even introduced, under Donald Trump, Under his first term, the FAA introduced a pilot program in 2019 aimed at preparing individuals with disabilities for careers in air traffic operations. Let me repeat that. The FAA even introduced a pilot program in 2019 under Trump aimed at what? Preparing individuals with disabilities for careers in air traffic operations. How strange, right? Developing a program that targets a particular group of people with a particular set of conditions and circumstances. Isn't that DEI? Well, anyway, let's talk now about blame and accountability. After the DC mid-air collision, Trump immediately pointed fingers at Biden, Obama, and DEI policies, blaming them for the crash, while ignoring his own policies, immediate policies after he took power. Now, if he took office on January 20th, 2025, and on the 22nd, he was signing an executive order ending DEI hiring policies and making the FAA and all our airspace safe, because now Trump was in control. Now America was back. Now meritocracy was back. Now we had a taking control of the whole thing, right? So that is on screen. That is on screen. You can see it. This is on the White House website. So anyway, he ignored his own policies that directly contributed to aviation industry failures, or may have, at least based on expert opinions. But there's only one small problem with that. Trump came up with a hiring freeze. Trump's administration stopped hiring for critical FAA positions, leading to understaffed air traffic control towers, which may have played a role in these accidents. Trump allowed Elon's conflict of interest to push out top FAA leadership, further weakening the agency. So that leads now to the broader pattern of deregulation. So I want you to kind of like zoom out for a second and think of the broader pattern of deregulation we see when Trump has been in power. Trump's pattern of deregulation has real life consequences beyond aviation. So let's just zoom out for a second, because I don't want you to think, we have to wait for the investigations. Trump is saying that, we just want to have the best people, but that's just a handful of, plane crashes. We've seen some other plane crashes under Biden and under Obama. Yeah, we didn't have commercial plane accidents that level. But anyway, look beyond aviation. Think for a second about the railroad industry, the deregulation of the railroad industry under Trump's first term. I want you to think about how Trump rolled back safety regulations from the Obama era, benefiting the railroads. And after that, coincidentally, we saw multiple train derailments, like that of East Palestine, Ohio, the disaster where toxic chemicals contaminated the area. Obama had signed a couple of, executive orders that were demanding, some new regulations for the railroad industry. Number one, Obama was demanding that, this regulation from his era was demanding, the first one, that if new technology for braking for trains became available, they were now obligated to upgrade to the new technology, because even though it was going to be an investment, at the same time, it was going to be benefiting and protecting the American people. If we have better brakes available, that regulation demanded that they upgrade it. Trump took it away, said, we don't need that. Obama had another regulation that consisted in demanding that they would use 2 operators per train. So if you had, obviously, we had an accident, one of the worst ones that we saw recently. The investigation led to a detail that it was that the operator apparently had been maybe seconds or a minute before the crash. It was found that he was using his phone, and it was just one operator. So this guy was operating the train at a high speed. He was approaching a very dangerous turn, so he should have obviously decelerated, and he didn't. So was he just distracted on his phone? I don't remember what the conclusion was, if that was like a major factor or not. But the fact that he was on his phone a few seconds or maybe a minute before the accident obviously is very concerning. Just put that in the context of planes. You have two pilots for a reason. Having two people on board as operators was a good thing. It was just pennies on the dollar. You know, these people, these corporations and these companies are spending, of course, more, and they will immediately start whining, oh my God, how are we going to spend some money? How are we going to pay for these additional operators now that we're needing? But then when you start considering the amounts of money that they make and how they profit, and how you see all these big corporations whining day and night, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, whining that they just can't operate it. It's so costly, inflation and everything. But then you see the earnings, they keep posting just record profits for the corporations, record profits for the CEOs and for the top, leadership, for their stockholders, shareholders. So you have to see the hypocrisy in that. But I just want you to understand what Obama had put in place to protect the American people. Better brakes mandatory. 2 operators mandatory. Visual inspections. The third, visual inspection of the railroad tracks. They needed to have a crew to go and do visual inspections. So Trump did away with that too. And now what we have some form of, I don't know, some little electronic technology-based device that has like a camera and probably can just travel along all the tracks with taking video. And it may do a decent job, but it's not gonna just do better than visual human inspections. Trump completely eliminated these 3 regulations from the Obama era. And immediately after that, we saw like 2 or 3 very disastrous train accidents in the United States, especially causing awful, environmental damages. We saw the same thing with the bank deregulation. We saw financial collapses of smaller regional banks. Trump did away, he weakened Dodd-Frank protections. That led to the collapse of regional banks, shaking the financial industry. Even the bigger banks were just putting money, coming up with money. We need to save these smaller banks, because it was like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 in a row that were collapsing. And that was leading to, people panicking. Imagine if everybody panics and they're like, shit, I need to get my money out of the bank. And everybody starts running to the bank to take their money out. Obviously, it would be a total, absolute collapse. You don't want that to happen. But anyway, Trump created the conditions by eliminating regulations that protected consumers and made it easier for banks to just abuse people. So at the end of the day, we're seeing now a pattern emerge. We see it with the aviation industry. We see it with all the agencies, government agencies, how they're just getting rid of stuff and people, and they don't even know what's going on. How they did it with the railroad industry, how they did it with the banking industry. Trump also deregulated the environment. Look at the environment deregulations. By gutting environmental protections, Trump's policies have enabled corporate pollution and climate disasters. This is just a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. But that's not all. The Trump administration keeps making mistake after mistake. Elon Musk claimed that the US sent 50 million in condoms to Hamas in Gaza, when in reality it was aid that was sent to Mozambique. Gaza in Mozambique, not Hamas. That was a major blunder. But the thing is that it's not even that. As I'm going to show you on screen right now, Elon even tweeted that he doubted that the money was actually used for condoms, that the people in Hamas in Gaza probably had this money in their pockets. They put it in their pockets. So in other words, the Biden administration is sending money to Hamas, which is deemed by many countries a terrorist organization, so that they can, have money in their pockets based on US taxpayer money. They fired a ton of people that were related to nuclear weapons. The administration abruptly fired nuclear security staff without understanding their jobs, and now they need to rehire these people. They're trying to locate all these people, and they don't even have all the information in terms of how to contact these people. So imagine that, the disaster. You fire a bunch of people because you're, just happy to fire people. You're happy to take spending under control. You're happy to be fiscally responsible, because that's what the Republican Party is, the party of fiscal responsibility. They did add $7.9 trillion to the debt under the last Trump administration. After saying that he was actually going to get rid of the national debt, he ended up increasing it by 7.9. And now they're proposing to add $4 trillion more so that they can also give $4.5 trillion in tax breaks, which effectively is going to end up like adding anywhere from $2 to $3 trillion to the debt. And that's why Trump wants to increase the debt ceiling. Even though they always told Biden, no, we can't keep increasing the debt ceiling. No, we can't keep with having this mentality of put it on the credit card and we're going to pay it later. But Trump says, hey, we need to not increase it. I want to get rid of it. And they're like, yes, Papi Trump. Yes, Papi Trump. Because we know the Republican Congress doesn't have a spine. We know they don't have the balls. They don't have the interests of the American people present. They're not considering that. They're here to obviously cater to Trump. They are here to do whatever he says they have to do. They have actually been neutralized. Congress has been 100% neutralized under this new administration with the DOGE, agency, Department of Government Efficiency Agency. And I remember even Lauren Boebert, I think David Pakman presented a video on this. Lauren Boebert saying, like, I don't know how this DOGE thing is going to work. I'm paraphrasing, but she was saying that we have a government efficiency agency. It's called Congress because, of course, they deal with the money, they deal with budgets, with appropriations, and they also have special committees to be fiscally responsible. They have the committees to investigate. They have congressional, constitutional power to even issue subpoenas and bring people in for questioning under oath. But they do a lot and they have a lot of power. So now DOGE is just literally taking away from them to the point where they are making all these decisions to go against allocations and appropriations that were already set and determined and approved and set in place by Congress. And DOGE doesn't have the constitutional power to tell Congress, no, we're taking that money away. But that's what Elon is doing. They're neutralizing Congress right now. So these people are here right now just to, I guess, cast a vote whenever Trump needs a vote for a new project, for a new law, for a new bill, whatever it is. I guess that's their whole point. Aside from that, you don't have any additional responsibility, prerogative, or power in my Trump world. And if you don't like it, let me know, because I have Elon waiting to invest billions of dollars to defeat you in the primaries. And I'm going to let my Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and all these people, I'm going to let them know that you're a traitor, that you're a rhino, so they can start, threatening you and bullying you and probably, threatening your family too. These people are afraid. They know Trump's got them by the balls. They can't do shit. But anyway, in conclusion, this isn't a government that cares about safety or that cares about you. They won't enforce stricter airline maintenance rules, or they won't hold corporations accountable. They are here to cash in, take away our rights, and strip away protections for the working class. We all heard about Project 2025, but many didn't believe it was real. Now, 5 plane crashes later and a ton of executive orders later that are disastrous, dismantling the whole government apparatus as we know it and democracy along the way. In less than a month, they have proven that these policies coming out of Project 2025 are deadly and disastrous. And this is why Hakeem Jeffries called Donald Trump Captain Chaos recently in an episode with Brian Tyler Cohen. I'm going to actually close with that clip. That will be the last thing that I'm going to play for you guys. But before I play the clip, just to actually close the show, I'm going to say, if you made it this far, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. And if you can, share the episode too. And I'll see you in the next episode. So I'm going to leave you here with Hakeem Jeffries and this great line calling Donald Trump Captain Chaos. Listen.
This administration is making America weaker across the world and creating the space for people like China and Russia to step in while hurting everyday Americans. Captain Chaos and extreme MAGA Republicans spent last year promising to lower the high cost of living and running away from Project 2025 as if it didn't exist. They've spent this year implementing the most extreme parts of the Project 2025 agenda, which will hurt the American people, while doing nothing, not a single thing, not a single bill, not a single idea, not a single plan to lower the high cost of living. In fact, the cost of groceries is going up, not down, including but not limited to the price of eggs. We've got to hold the Republicans accountable, and we will, for the lies and the broken promises that they've told to the American people.